Okay, dancer friends, we're going to talk about proactive injury resiliency in our dancers, but we're going to keep it more simple than that. So we're going to talk today about the 3 common injuries that dancers will see: ankles, knees, and hips, and those 3 joints. We're going to learn 4 exercises. Again, we're keeping it simple for each joint to strengthen them to help prevent injury. So to strengthen a joint, we want to strengthen the muscles, tendons, and ligaments above the joint and below the joint. So we're going to start with the ankle. So we're going to want to work foot and lower leg. So to strengthen the ankle, again, we want to work below the ankle and above the ankle. Below the ankle is my foot, and above the ankle is my lower leg. So I have a nice heavy bell to anchor my band. I have my green loop band that I love using. I'm going to put it around the arch of my foot, straighten that leg. This leg can do whatever you want. And my goal, I want a little tension. And again, I have something nice and heavy to anchor it, is I want to do inversion. So I'm pulling. I would do, that was 5, 6, 7, and I'm twisting that ankle, not twisting, folding it in. And I would do 10 in the inversion position. So I'm turning that ankle in. What I think is important for my dancers to know, I'm going to come a little closer to the camera, is that I am not rolling my whole leg in and out. I am doing a little pivot, a little inversion with the ankle. So I can really feel muscles of my foot. Now, I want to reverse that. So I'm going to keep my anchor where it is and use my other leg to do eversion. So I have it the other way, and now I'm going to push to go out and out and out, and I'll try to do 10 of these. Now, I can already feel those muscles leading into the ankle and the muscles in my feet getting stronger and stronger. So that's the first 2 exercises for the ankle, inversion and eversion, with some resistance. And again, when I'm doing that one, I'm going away, away, away. So I would just set this up on the other side to get inversion and eversion on the opposite of each leg, because you want to do both. I would do 10 to 20 reps of these. So to strengthen the ankles, I'm going to work also above that joint, and that's going to be my lower leg. So we're going to talk about calves and tibialis, so the back and the front of the lower leg. Calves are pretty easy to work, and oftentimes our dancers overwork them, but I'm going to use my band to add a little bit of resistance laterally, and I'm just going to simply go up and down into releve, doing calf raises. Now, I like to do these parallel, about 10 parallel, about 10 turned out, but again, I've got some resistance from my band. So if you can notice, I'm getting a little extra work through the right above that ankle. And then you can do them in turned in, which dancers don't really enjoy doing very much, but it does work those muscles in a lot of different directions, which is really important for muscular balance. So calf raises, and you can always add load if you want to help with the back. Now we're going to do tibialis. The tibialis are the muscles that go right down the front of the shin, and there's some other extensor muscles in there. I like to get a wall, lean against the wall with soft knees and my bands on my ankles, and lift those toes up. I like this because it keeps me from doing this if I'm doing it standing up. And I'm exaggerating, but people tend to straighten those legs and pop their hips back. So this way, this is all of those extensor muscles. And they get sore, they get worked really, really easily because they're small muscles. This also helps to avoid shin splints, because shin splints come from an overdeveloped calf and underdeveloped front or tibialis of that lower leg. So those are some lower leg exercises and some foot and ankle. So those are 4 things: inversion and eversion, calves and tibialis, 4 little things to help strengthen the ankles to prevent ankle injuries. Now, as we move up the body and we want to strengthen the knee joint, we're going to work below and above the knee joint. guess what? Below the knee joint is the lower leg. We've already learned exercises to strengthen and use the muscles of the lower leg. So this is what I call double dipping. We've already done 2 of the 4 exercises that we want to learn to help strengthen the knee joint. So here's what we're going to do for the knee joint. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the knee joints, right? We're going to go below and above, as we said before. So below the knee joint, we've already done the calf work, and the tibialis work you did to help the ankles is also going to help your knees. So those are 2 exercises to help knee health that you already know. Now we're going to go above the knee. We're going to focus very simply on quadriceps and hamstrings. So for quadriceps, you can use the band, but you don't have to. We're going to do 90 sits, and then we're just going to do hamstring bridges with or without the band. So as we move into the quads and the hamstrings to work above the knee joint for knee health, we can do 90 sits. So usually I have a client sit against the edge of a wall so they can sit up nice and tall. Try not to push into the floor, and you're going to just lift one leg at a time. Now, we don't want to just do a lot of momentum here. We want to watch this quadricep muscle, and we want to go contract, lift, lower, relax. Contract, lift, lower, relax. And do about 10 on each side. These can also be done without the band. You don't have to have the band for those to be effective, but they are really, really effective for working the front, the quadriceps. So for the hamstrings, to help the knee health, I like to use my bands right underneath my knees and just do regular bridges, and you can add an abduction, a little open at the top if you'd like to. So just regular bridges, no big deal. You guys know these. Lift up and down. But I can go up and open and down just to add a little extra something into the bridges. But I am activating my hamstrings, and I get a little glute work there as well. Okay, so we're going to move right on up again. We're talking about the hip joint. So to strengthen the hip joint, we want to work below it, which is the thigh, the upper leg, which we've already used to strengthen the knee joint. Double dipping again. So we're going to strengthen those 2 exercises you already know to help get our hips healthier. And then above the hip, we're going to work on the glutes and the core. So we're just moving right up the body, right? So now we're at the hips. So we want to work below and above. And guess what? We're double dipping again. I've already worked below my hips, my quads, and my hamstrings. And now I'm going to go above my hips and focus on my core, my glutes, all the way around the hip. So to work the side glute and the outer hip, and also a little bit of the transverse abdominis, so we're getting some abdominal work in there too for the hips, I like to use my bands again, and I'm just doing side steps. So 2 steps right, 2 steps left. You could do more or less. Just make sure it's equal from side to side. I am staying parallel, and I want to really focus on leading straight through as opposed to tipping the teapot as I go through. So that's going to help some of the glute muscles and a little bit of the core working the transverse abdominis. Now, as I continue to work on the hips, one of my favorite things to do is work the hip flexors. So our hip flexors can be tight from sitting too much, but tight does not mean that they're strong. So I will put the band now around the arches of my feet, and I'm going to do a sprinter, lifting up, hold for a moment, and then slow down. So I want to have a lot of control and slow down. I usually do 10 on each side, and you will quickly notice like this if there's one side that's a little bit weaker than the other, but that's going to help the hip flexor strength. Again, about 10 on each side, and then you've got your 4 exercises for your hips. So as you can see, we are an amazing kinetic chain. What I love to think about is that we already know if we have a weakness in a certain area of our body, it can cause other weaknesses and other injuries or other problems. But the same is true for strength. If I strengthen a certain area of my body, it will help to strengthen another area of my body. Now, these are not the only things that I think our dancers need to work on, but these are definitely some key areas, key joints that dancers often see injuries in. I'm keeping it simple. I hope you can take these and use these to help your dance career thrive for many years to come.